today's games. Let's see who takes the cake at it as we go live with Cafe now and the bans along with it. SSG has the first and final ban, the two outer ones highlighted in orange there. DarkZero has got the two middle ones.
I mean, we're starting out. No, I'm not going to say that with the bans right here.
Sledge will be the first ban to come in there. Interesting, what makes perfect sense when we know how relevant Sledge is, specifically for second floor holds and for first floor holds as well. Opening up those top down angles is so crucial for the attackers to be able to get not only the intel. Yeah, we got it like that. Nice input from Forrest there. As Ying is our second ban to come in. But once again, the Sledge, certainly an interesting one, but it makes perfect sense in the context of Cafe here.
Yeah, we got it like that. We got the prep. We've done our homework. We don't want to deal with that vertical hold, nor do we want to deal with the Azami. Now, on all the maps, normally you'd say, oh, Valkyrie or Solus, but on Cafe, this is the map where Mira is the strongest, so will SSG leave her up? Yes, they will. Solus goes off the board, and not only is Valk up, you get to use those black eye cameras, you also get Mira on the map where she is arguably the strongest in the map pool, and that is a terrifying combination. Now, of course, there's always the asterisk I have to put. Because those operators are banned so often, that does not mean that SSG will run Mira Valk every round, but I would say with both of those being left up, we're likely going to see at least one of them in this first round. Rating will be the first site that we actually see SSG deploy themselves to, and we're going to head into that right now. So there will be an extension to this, obviously, on the third floor that DarkZero are going to have to clear things out, but otherwise, should be expecting SSG to set themselves up into the site in a pretty traditional way. Not a whole lot of huge variations in terms of how you generally tend to play things here on the second floor hold, so expect the normal setup to come out from SSG here. Yeah, we have the three C4s. We have Valkyrie and Operator to give intel on that top floor. We have the intel denial and the mute and the Mozzie, and it's that combo of operators that I think will bring in, at least for round number one, maybe we'll see it for the rest of it, what I am really looking at in this series. Right now, on SSG, we have the player who has taken the most entry engagements in the league by a country mile. Well, after today, or before today. Merc right now is sitting at 29 total entry engagements. Not necessarily one, but 29 total entry engagements. Now, Spoit closed the gap a little bit during their game today as SSG played and beat M80 7-3 earlier. Spoit now at about 24-25, but before, Merc was leading it by about 7 opening engagements. And now as SSG are on the defense, DarkZero starting on the attack, I'm looking at these opening picks, especially on a slow map like Cafe, to dictate the pace. And right now, DarkZero have got the first of the map. Force taken down, one of the C4s that SSG was likely going to use once DarkZero started moving across Long Bar. Valkyrie gone along with it. Once again, hopefully all of her utility already deployed inside of the prep phase, so not a whole lot lost there, but as you mentioned, still going to lose the Nitro Cell, which could have been very useful, especially inside of a late round to execute something that DarkZero is certainly going to deploy towards on the large majority of these rounds with the way that they play. However, given that, DarkZero have already shown in some of the earlier matchups this season the capability to kind of speed things up, move away from kind of the traditional DarkZero style of play, so maybe, just maybe, that ultimately comes a moot point. Now we're going to start to see, of course, the Brava drones work their way in. They're already sealing away quite a bit of effective utility there as the Valkyrie camera, pretty much getting full vision on the third floor as well, goes away, but there's those Nitro Cells making impact. Over the entry has already begun for Gavini, just leaps his way in on defender-sided balcony, taking Fultz along with him and restoring a player advantage for DarkZero. Not going to stay that way, though, as J9O fends off some pressure from Panda. And now Merc is still on this top floor, so what could have been a dangerous predicament for SSG remains a dangerous predicament for SSG. Merc exposes himself to the new hatch, so J9O fighting back that man advantage, making it a 3v3, and Merc still being able to apply pressure on the top floor is no longer a factor. Now all you have is still DZ with a man advantage, but J9O on worse HP. Gavini is also on low health, he's down to 50, and SSG's credit, while DZ did hack a black eye camera, they're down to 3 drones, but they've still got 3 bodies on the board, and J9O is the only one left. He's on 1 HP, he's out the round, and DZ are up 1-0. We already talked about this. Obviously, DZ generally trying to play things pretty slowly, subverts those expectations right from round number 1 by giving us an actually pretty fast execute after the third floor swinging happens with a pretty clean follow-up behind that as well here. SSG, unfortunately, just not ready for the pressure, so they fall by the wayside, and DZ gets a very, very clean round number 1. Yeah, slow attacks on border, but fast attacks on Cafe. Wrap your head around that one. Not the trend I would have expected going into today, but I will take a surprise like that over the same old tried and true border and cafe that we always see. DZ clearly in high spirits after that first initial victory. And as they move down to kitchen, they'll look to continue that trend as they try to attack this first floor. SSG not bringing the Valk or the Mira this go around, but they are certainly not without any intel operators. They have the Echo. Of all the sites in the game, this is usually one we'll see that Echo likely in the top 3. Maybe you're also looking at lockers and CCTV on bank, but kitchen is one where we have seen the Echo pretty consistently if there is going to be one for about a year or two now. They also have the BP for hot and cold to place inside of the site in case anybody goes in for the plant. And while we did see DarkZero on border not really try to go for the whole map when they cleared things out, with the Amaru this time and the introduction of the Jackal on DarkZero, I imagine they're starting things out on the top floor for this one.
Just a standard clear warn likely to be seen from them. We'll have to wait and see, especially once again with that Gara Hook utility still going to be deployed towards here for Panba and the rest of DZ. Forest trying to sneak out as well, see if there is any intel to be stolen away by rolling outside. He does spot a little bit of a descent working its way over on white side of the building here, but not going to act upon it. Panba immediately leaps into floor number 3 here, though, as what we expected to see, and the top-down clear will begin. But obviously SSG, pretty much no resistance either here or on the second floor, so it's going to be a pretty uneventful top clear.
And this is a site where we might see some of the impact of the sledge ban, because in terms of vertical destruction, oh no, a chief can't play sledge. I guess he'll play Buck. Back when he was on Accelerate, the operator he was most notorious for, not the biggest deal. Of course, right here, we do have a Melusi and a Jackal off the board, and also a very quick flurry of engagements. I was going to talk about, oh no, they can't use nades from the vertical holes anymore, oh no, but there's already been quite a few gunfights that have taken place. You've lost the Jackal and you've lost the Melusi on a raw trade that favors the defense. Melusi's already placed their utility. For NJR, you could have tracked down players like Merc, who might go unread inside of dining as he's just sitting prone behind that table and he's got somebody on white stairs shooting drones behind him. So as Panbazoo moves on in and Foltz goes down, will DarkZero be able to hold this advantage and take down Merc?
Clutch primed.
It's quiet for a moment here as DarkZero try to wind up their next maneuver. Panba already reaching the bottom of white, maybe the one trying to set himself up for it. Gets the spot on the Forest, but the Bravo drone is eliminated with it. Not necessarily a whole lot of utility able to be stolen away by them on the outside of this round, but certainly some things deeper into the site that could have been useful here if that Bravo drone made it just a little bit deeper into Freezer here. Gavani with a good spot as well, sees the back legs of one of the members of SSG holding on here in dining room. Panba with the ping for it, but doesn't necessarily have the lineup. There we go. Oh, now that he opens things up, he'll rush into it alongside Achieve there. Achieve will get the credit for the kill, obviously. Or so having there for the insurance policy, as Panba could have made up for things in the event that Achieve ended up going down. Reduces the defense to only 2 players here, as it's up to Forest and J90 with 40 seconds to go.
Now, to SSG's credit, they have 2 of the best late round plant denial operators in the game. They have Smoke with all of his toxic canisters. That amounts to 30 seconds, which is the amount of time we have left. And Forrest still with some Yokais up on the board. Achieved is ripping open the ceiling and might just have an angle on Forrest, but he backs off.
Misses it.
Doesn't end up seeing the Echo. Now you have all of this utility still alive.
J90 off the site, so a little bit more capability to fire him, but they've scouted him out as well, and they trap set up him perfectly. As soon as he tries to wrap himself back into the site, Achieved already has the shutdown against him here. Forrest as well, going to be trying to use this Echo drone, but not really anything to be gained from it, and they have the immediate cutoff for when he peeks afterwards. Beautifully shut down by DZ, and a nice correction onto things. Now they take command 2-1.
2 very solid attacks for DarkZero so far, immediately taking quick control of that top floor, only taking about 45 seconds to clear it out before moving down to the middle. And even though there was that very quick set of engagements that I think maybe caught them off guard a little bit at how hard SSG was fighting back, you know, they end up losing NJR while they lose hot and cold in turn, they didn't let that phase them all that much, because Merc sat inside of dining for 2 minutes, prone on a table. What was he cooking, John? I don't know. But he ends up dying. He sits there the whole time. DZ don't really waste any time at that point. They just open things up. It was honestly about, there were some twists and turns along the way, but it's like pretty much kind of a standard full clear for Bakery at the end of the day.
Pretty much. And SSG, unfortunately, not really having a whole lot of presence extended upstairs, made that early portion of the clear that much easier. SSG just not with enough player power to actually fend off the aggression when they had finally reached the lower floor and actually were able to challenge the setup itself. And like you said there as well, the Bucks change up makes a very quick correction upon the Sledge top-down angles that was always going to be played in by the members of DZ. The Sledge band having some questionable effectiveness, at least after we see the first round where it could have been really played out itself.
It's a set of nades off the board, which could be problematic, but as you said, the Buck can do, honestly, better vertical work than Sledge can. It'd be quicker, it's more explosive, it's a little scarier, for being honest. Skeleton Key's a little nerve-wracking when you hear it banging around on the top floor or the floor above you.
Obviously, you can actually do the floor above you as well if you necessarily need to bring that into the fold as well.
Also, if you need to take a close quarters fight, I'm not whipping out the sledgehammer. I'm whipping out the skeleton key.
I mean, you might.
No.
We've seen it happen a few times. More of an ego thing than anything, but
I would devolve into hallucinations if somebody just peeked a corner, sledgehammer in hand, and hit someone in the face. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd be lost.
Well, we're not going to see that in this game.
No, we won't. No, we will not.
A Sledge has been put on the bench for this one. Not allowed to be brought into the battlefield. You can already see that Brava drone once again being useful as the utility is stolen away, but they are also going to remove it from contention entirely as they begin to work their way deeper into the building.
DZ down to 3 drones, only a minute 15 seconds in, and still predominantly outside the building. 3 players on this cocktail rappel, all holding angles that will stop SSG's rotation. 2 now, indeed, and 1 player off the board for SSG. Canadian from one of these very angles able to cut down Fultz, the Maestro. Those evil eyes are the one remaining, as the other one was hacked by Brava, will remain silent. But SSG aren't facing direct pressure yet. The rotations are inhibited, but not completely halted. Merc could get aggressive, and if he's able to find someone on this rappel, oh, but Gavini spots one down below as well. DarkZero have been so solid in this early round so far. You shouldn't count them out for the late round either.
Down to 3 for our defense, but at the same time, just picking up a kill starts the drain of DarkZero's roster as well. A minute still to go, so plenty of time for the attack. Hot and cold, a little scared there as the Gemini works its way through the library. Spots him out in the process. He's able to take it down, but of course the intel also given out that he'd fallen away from the hatch drop. Nice rotation from Forrest, though, working his way all the way to top red. Catches Canadian, none the wiser. Drops the case with it, but he can't maintain that position, so it's going to get recovered here by Gavini. And JR also finds a very important trade to keep DarkZero in control of the situation. With Forrest already being heavily injured, down to about 30 HP. SSG have to go quiet now, wait for DarkZero to make the next move. With them having still that additional player to rely on, that's just made it all that much easier for them to potentially follow it through on trades and close out on a 3rd consecutive round now.
Forrest on low HP will make that even easier as well. Achieved hops on over. They've got intel on the player inside of mining. Forrest will have to hold this off. He's low HP, but he has the feet holes. It is now lit up Gavini while downing achieved, but it doesn't matter all that much. The final 2 players on DarkZero hit their shots, make their mark. DZ get 3 rounds in a row.
DZ taking full control of the attacking side so far of Cafe. SSG has not yet had a response, and considering we did just go through the full 3-site rotation, I would say a pause is certainly probably in the cards, and right on cue, SSG trigger their timeout. So they are going to go for it here and now, and it's very much needed too, as these have been 3 very slow, broiling rounds for the most part, save for really round number 1, where DZ had a pretty straightforward clear at the end of the day to take 2nd floor control for themselves. It's been the usual affair as far as DZ is concerned for the following rounds after that one, so SSG needs to figure out a way to stop this.
Yeah, the control hasn't really been contested. Even when DZ dropped an opening duel in the 2nd round, he was immediately traded back, and they ended up coming out of those set of engagements with a man advantage. So effectively the same thing, just albeit at a reduced man count for both teams. They win it in rounds 1 and 3 as well. When they've gone for these full clears, they've gone for this total control in Cafe, which is what you typically do. There's not been, as you said, much of a response from SSG, and that's the main thing we want to see so far. Because look at the last round we just saw as well. All DZ really had when they were clearing out the top floor to attack mining and dining was 3 players on Cocktail Rappel. 2 at one point, but still 3 players on Rappel. You had Pambazu outside using clutch drones for half the round. And then likely the Nook creeping into the building. That's only 1 player, and yet they were still able to establish, for a time, a 5v3 man advantage, similar to how we saw Beast Coast do in round 7 of the previous game where Mirage just kind of peeked them, and all of a sudden they was 5v1. It was similar for DarkZero right there. We need to see SSG. If they're going to get aggressive, they got to win these fights.
A lot of that specifically for round 3, I think, comes back to the level of drone control and drone intel that DarkZero were able to gather inside of that first minute or 2, where they're kind of setting themselves up for the initial clear. You had mentioned it as well. They were down like 8 or 9 drones, still only halfway through the round, but they followed it up with a very decided execute. No hesitation on any part of that one, because they more than likely had that massive intel bank built up. Both, yeah, a lot of drones killed, but also a lot of intel gained in the process. So while it puts them in a little bit of a delicate position if that execute doesn't go well, so far that has not been the case, obviously, when you look at the scoreboard.
And to build off of that as well, DarkZero also bringing operators that could compensate if that initial plan doesn't work. If, say, they lose 7 drones, they had the Brava, who can maybe hack an Evil Eye or a Black Eye camera and then take that intel back. In this case, they're running the Dokkaebi, who, if you end up losing again 7 or 8 drones, maybe has a call-in pocket that can aid on the roam clear or aid on the execute. So DarkZero are expending a lot of these drones, but as you pointed out, it's still going to great effect, and even if they don't end up getting the effect they desired, they're bringing operators whose primary utility can still compensate for those shortcomings and get them the intel that they still need. Right now, DarkZero not going for the full clear immediately, but not just well thrown, beautifully thrown, beautifully cooked nade by Pambazu, removes the bottom white player, which is a position that we might see teams deal with 45 seconds left. We've just hit 2 minutes, and he's already pretty much cold on the ground.
Not to mention, it is a perfect operator knockout here as well. That's the smoke gone, so that's 30 seconds of delay removed from SSG's utility. Certainly something the Darks are going to be very happy about, and SSG, unfortunately, are going to be a little bit worrisome about, considering the issues they've already had stemming the tide as far as executes are concerned. Now being down not only a player, but a crucial piece of delay utility, once again, leaves them in a very delicate position to try and fend off the rest of the round. And now they've got additional roam presence on the second floor that you just saw there also, so they're going to need to have the capability to properly peel this back. Another area where we've also seen SSG struggle a little bit when they've gone for more of the upstairs holds.
I'm just laughing because Janano is dead and Gavini's still in spawn. Hot and cold's in bakery, and as Gavini rotates over, well, DZ just got hot and cold down. They've been able to get these first 2 kills of the round so easily. Even after the timeout, they're not phased whatsoever. They've taken control of bakery, but SSG still have some good positions. As you said, John, they have top floor control. SSG also still have a player inside of code check. That's Merc at the moment. He might not have a C4, but he still has a very good angle to deny DarkZero from pushing in through bakery, but he's running out of teammates that he can rely on. Force will rotate all the way up, and guess what's there? Somebody waiting for him. He's put down to 1 HP, but still wins the fight, and SSG are back to where they were on the previous bakery attack. A 2v4, and not a lot of hopes for a victory.
No capability for their 2 remaining players to really play off of each other, too, at least not until Forrest rotates down to the bottom of red. Even there, that's going to limit his own play potential if he goes for it, but they commit themselves together and find another kill. However, that will come at the cost of a trade, and another kill is followed up very quickly to still keep this a flawless half so far for DarkZero as they continue to dominate against, so far, an unresponsive SSG at 4-0 so far in the favor of DZ.
They've won Kitchen twice now, which tends to be one of the best sites for the defense on Cafe. Cocktail has fallen out of favor very much worldwide, but especially in North America, so SSG are left with, we don't really want to try that again. Do we want to go with mining or dining? Do we want to go with reading room and fireplace? But again, we're in the situation, they've lost each of those sites one time. So you're choosing between the lesser of 2 evils, and I imagine, as you will see, you're going with reading room and fireplace. But I'd like to see here maybe get a little bit more, I would say, aggressive against DarkZero, but even then, I second-guess myself. Is that the right solution? Because that's initially what I would diagnose, but DarkZero is still winning these fights so dominantly.
They need to find a way to deny this drone intel in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, 2 rounds back is where we saw it be at its worst here, but once again, it's just DarkZero continuing to play in more and more confidence. The worst part is SSG, I think, has even tried to stop that before. I'm pretty sure if I go back like 3 or 4 rounds, I think they did have a mute Mozzie combo at one point there.
They did.
So they're aware of this. They've tried to stop it, and even that they haven't been able to get in the way of. DarkZero, again, this is props to them because they're just playing a perfect game right now, and SSG is unfortunately just blanking on a response for it.
I mean, look at our positions, right? We're like, SG, what do you need to do?
Like, we're making suggestions, and we're like, oh no, wait, they already tried that.
Deny the
even we
intel.
can't think of a solution.
Deny the intel? Well, they've won these rounds with only 3 drones on the board. Guess you don't do that. Get aggressive? Well, DarkZero is shutting you down anyway, so maybe that's not the solution.
Maybe just gotta start jumping out, you know?
I mean, they got the players for it.
Yeah,
you know?
just really, throw caution to the wind at this point.
Jane, I know, Fultz, players 3 and 4 in the league right now, just behind Newers and NJR. Unfortunately, the latter is who they're playing against right now, and they're playing against Panbazoo as well, who's doing very well on the Nook so far. He's taken some shots, but is looking to get DarkZero's 4th opening pick in the match so far. Got intel on the Legion, and down hot and cold goes another player with a passive gadget, but once they try to get active 45 seconds in, DarkZero shut them down and just move on with their day.
Nicely done once again here from DarkZero. And again, that suggestion I made there to like just kind of get in the face of DZ, jump out against them. It obviously comes for a little bit of a comedical place, but I honestly think it might be the way forward if it worked, obviously, because that would at least make DarkZero have a little bit more respect, play things a bit more slowly against SSG instead of just constantly hunting down these opening kills that they seem to have had no problem finding for the large majority of these rounds. You already mentioned it, that's 4 to 5 of the rounds now going to DarkZero when it comes to the opening kill. Well, even the one that we did see get picked up by the members of SSG back on round number 2, you mentioned this as well, immediately exchanged like half a second later. So even when they found that advantage, they couldn't keep it.
This, unfortunately, might just be one of those games, ladies and gentlemen, where DarkZero are playing a very great game, and SSG might have cooled off a little bit from there. Again, very impressive victory over M80 earlier, but cooled off nonetheless. As if you're going down 4-0, God forbid 5-0 on Cafe defense, you are in for a world of hurt once we get to the side swap. There's still time, 1 minute and 10 seconds left, and DarkZero, admittedly, have been a little slow to acquire this control across the map. They got that opening pick, but with a minute left, they are still on red stairs, but that might just be a deception because they don't need to acquire all that top floor control. They're aiming for a dining plane, and all you really need there is red stairs, mining, and train, and then just a little bit of pressure in red hall and a little bit of pressure on the top floor and red stairs to make sure nobody can retake on the top floor and the bottom floor. And look at this, they have a drone on one of the main players who could deal with them.
As he spotted once again from DarkZero, and that's where it all comes back to their A+ drone play from DarkZero here that's giving them pretty much the exact full picture before they even move forward, but it seems like they may have missed a crucial detail here. Fultz with the crossfire from the inside of Reading Room itself. Gets away with 2, but those 2 have already been exchanged now by DZ, still keeping them +1 up at this point. Gavini, though, incredibly low, so it's very easy for SSG to trade themselves back into this one, especially when you consider, of course, that one of the reigning players, oh no, still maintains an upstairs position. That advantage is going to fall by the wayside. However, as Jane I know is even heard dropping back down through the hatch, the position given away dead to rights as DZ dominates yet again. 5 out of 6 now, all going into the hands of DZ. And in all honesty, not much of a response just in terms of frags coming out from SSG anymore. DarkZero are dominating and on the gauntlet run for a potential 7-0 right now if SSG doesn't do something to stop this.
We have not had a 7-0 so far in the North America League. Closest we came was actually today when Beast Coast 7-1 Parabellum, but no 7-0 yet. And man, what a match that'd be. DarkZero SSG.
This is the one you think could go like full overtime and everything as well.
This is the one that literally for like 3 years has gone max OT every single time it's played in every single stage. And this is the one we might get a 7-0. Still 2 rounds to go, potentially, for SSG to get a victory. So we don't have to start ringing the alarm bells just yet, but we might be a little bit because they've tried Kitchen, didn't work. Tried Reading, it didn't work. Mighty didn't work either. So they've gone to Cocktail as their last site. If you're going to Cocktail as your last site on a defensive rotation, we are in bad shape, fellas.
All right, so let's see if the 3rd floor hold is going to yield any results whatsoever for SSG. 5-1 is bad, but it's not the end of the world.
It's not.
It is workable, although it's very, very tough, especially from the attacker's perspective on this map, as you already mentioned there. But a 6-0, that's nigh impossible to work their way back from. We've certainly seen close comebacks from that position previously, but I don't know if we've actually ever seen it come to full fruition. A nice run out here from Forrest, and he's going to get the down unachieved. However, can't get the full confirmation just yet here. They can, however, play around white window now as he goes down directly next to it. So any attempt to res him can be punished as well. Panva, though, quickly restores the balance, as it were. Knocks out Forrest, and this time doesn't leave him in a down state either. Knocked out outright. Fortunately, that kill, I think, was going to take out the player that may have very well been able to play around that white window and punish the res and Achieve. No longer a possibility, so Achieve gets brought right back up. And DarkZero still at full manpower because of that.
I mean, that sums up this game so far, right? Forrest literally did what we told him to. Like, just run out at this point. He downed Achieved, didn't even kill him. Panva cuts him off, and then Achieved gets revived anyway, and it's a 5-4. You just gotta...
No matter what they do, it just seems like DarkZero does something a little bit better, unfortunately, and it's going to continue to snowball here now that we're a minute deeper into the round. Already 2 kills found against the defensive setup. Very, excuse me, very split up here as well for SSG, as one sits directly under Red Hatch of all places too, just trying to deny DarkZero's entry entirely, while the other two try to patch gap some sort of a defense together on the remaining portions of the site they still control.
I mean, DarkZero have everything they want here as well. They have Achieved down below. He can buck open that cocktail balcony. They've got 2 players on the rappel. Gavini can rappel in the cocktail balcony whenever he wants. Because of this 5v3, once the call is given, they can start sending it through. Pamazu could probably Amar up a damn hatch at this point, and he would still get a kill if he wanted to. SSG still have players close by. They have this 5v3. If maybe Merc can get a kill on one of these players on rappel, that'll make things a lot easier. But there are just so many angles, so many positions, so much utility going against SSG right now that it's gonna take a miracle at this point to start clawing this advantage back.
Faults, the pressure now broiling in against him here from both hatches as well. Blinded out by the flash, tries to turn to the corner, but I think he messed. Oh, and NJR, just the dash on the rappel to knock out Merc. SSG cannot find any footing whatsoever on this defensive half, and in just a few moments, it is more than likely going to be the perfect 6-0 half from DarkZero.
Not even anything you can say at this point. I mean, I didn't think I would need to have this stat on me, to be honest with you. This has to be unequivocally the most dominant matchup between these two teams ever, right? I mean, it's a 7-0. It literally cannot get more dominant than that. Yep. But when has this matchup ever been this close? Maybe a 7-3, I feel like. Something like that. But a 7-0, it is unfathomable, even with the shifts this team or these orgs have had over the past 2 years, to see DarkZero go up 6-0 against SSG and do it not even because SSG is playing particularly bad. DarkZero is just in a league of their own on Cafe at the moment. And Jesse was talking about, oh, now that TSM are gone, we need a new king of Cafe. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
we may have found him.
DarkZero, we got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have found, it seems, the new Kings of Cafe. At least from this match alone, it seems like we may have very well found him. DarkZero giving us an absolute lights-out performance against, again, one of the strongest competitors that North America's had for quite a few years now. Even with this different roster, this is still an incredibly capable lineup, and one that, at least in my opinion, should be staying at the top echelon of North America. But it seems like today, just maybe the wrong map allowed to sneak through the pool here, as DarkZero more than ready to play things out against SSG's both defense and more than likely attack as well here on Cafe. Just one of the next 6 rounds needs to be won by DarkZero, and that is it. We are done. SSG, we'll have to see. Obviously, it's a new half, so could still see some rounds onto the board for them, but to repeat the perfect 6-0, that's going to be a little bit of a far cry from what we may be expecting here at this point.
I mean, one thing that maybe we'll see, you know, Merc is 0-6 at this point. You never want to see that, but his entries are normally attacker side. He's got 73 point. There's a double C4 right there. That's unlucky. Guess he's not getting the entry on this one. Gavini with a 3rd C4 kill. Merc is now sending it up white stairs, John. I mean,
I tuned out for 3 seconds to get some input for production, and like it's already down to this. NJR picking up one of the remaining 2. J9O is all that remains. It is not looking like a good day for SSG, unfortunately, as they end things here in what is, once again, more than likely going to be a 7-0 in just a moment. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the Nitro to finish it all off. DarkZero, NJR laughs it all